By the power of God, the internet, and the bear conductor, welcome back to It Came From the Internet. I'm David, and I'm joined here, as always, by Dylan. It's been a long time, Dylan.
It's not been long enough.
It's not been long enough, and this is the second attempt to record this podcast in 20 minutes, because holy shit did we start it poorly before.
About recording like this is that version's going to be up for at least like anyone takes it down.
Oh, I went in and renamed it to say that this is the fucked up one, and then just saved it instead of deleting it. So yeah, it's there.
Great.
It could just be there forever. It already had.
We're gonna need it when we do our. We're gonna need it when we do our episode on ourselves.
Yeah, well, that's how the show ends.
Yep.
But it already had 3 thumbs up, and I was just like, "You guys thumbed this up before you even bothered looking at it."
You know what? I don't think they did.
They're just like, they're being fucking morons. I'm gonna thumb this up.
Type of people we attract.
Anyway,
David, can I tell you something?
Maybe. Is it about JoJo?
No.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
It's 1998. Father is the herald of the largest mangosteen dynasty in the United States. Mangosteens are an artisan fruit. It's an exotic fruit that comes from the
what is the blend of what is the steen part of the mangosteen? I get the mango part, but what
like
fruit
a mango
ends in steen?
It's like a super mango.
It's a super
like
mango. Great.
A mango that does the taxes of other mangoes. Sorry, that's mangosteen. Never mind.
Are you making fun of me? Einstein is unpleased with your joke.
Oh, dog. He should be. Your father is the herald of the largest mangosteen dynasty in the United States, and soon you will take over for him. You're not supposed to take over for him because you're the second son in the war. A war that he wasn't supposed to go to. His eyes are dark and sunken, and you want to do nothing more than to light them up. So you take to the internet, the new frontier of business in the 90s, and you set up a website that you're going to use to catalog the mangosteens your family produces. You are going to become the largest mangosteen dynasty, not just in the United States, but in the world.
I feel like
the time comes.
Difficult.
And the time comes and you show it to your father, and you bring him to the computer. And he stands up and he turns to you. And without saying a word, you feel his heavy hand fall upon your face as he slams you to the floor. And with fury in his eyes, he says, "Today, Richard, you've made something awful." And that's how you spend the next 20 years of your life, curating the biggest mistake you've ever made into your only means of income.
Why is this famous website the biggest mistake he's ever made?
Because his dad doesn't like it. It's a joke. Whatever. It's fucking stupid. No one knows what I'm talking about. God damn it. This is dumb. We should start over again.
No.
All right. Something Awful is a comedy website.
You have to fucking wallow in your shame. You don't get to start over because instead of fucking saying that story in green text, you said it slightly more coherently, but it didn't land either way.
I think it landed pretty well. It'll land better later on. Something Awful is a comedy website. Pretty notable one. It was kind of the only comedy website for a while, to be honest. Started out as a blog by Richard Kiyonka, who went by the internet handle Lotax. He still does go by it. Began to
Does Lotax
have other people post to
Slow Beef?
Yes. We'll get to Slow Beef.
Okay.
He started to branch out. He started to have other people come on and write for it, and kind of anyone could. Pretty soon, Something Awful just sort of became a hub of internet humorists. Sort of the same way that like a comedy club in a city will just sort of become a hot spot for comedians they can go to do it, you know?
So Something Awful was like a hub for written comedy, and the way that Newgrounds was a hub for flash animation.
Very, very much so. Something Awful is kind of a more spontaneous thing than Newgrounds was, because Something Awful was not supposed to be. Low Tax was just writing shit on the website, but he had a website, which was a big fucking deal in 1999. You didn't have Squarespace putting ads out on every single podcast in 1999 to get your fucking site. You know, you had to jump through some hoops to get one at that time. And he was just open invitation. Anyone could really write anything for the website, and he would put it up. The website just sort of flourished on that. It was for what we consider the internet's humor today. A lot of big name people who do internet shit today got their start on Something Awful. The Mega 64 guys got their start on Something Awful.
Oh, they did? Wow.
They actually, at least Rocco of Mega 64 still posts there regularly.
Well, isn't he no longer with Mega 64?
No, he's still with Mega 64. No one's left to Mega 64, I believe.
For some reason, I thought that they had like split or something.
No, it's still like the three dudes who started Mega 64 are still Mega 64.
Okay.
You're thinking of Two Best Friends Play.
No, because I don't know what that. I barely know what that is.
Yeah, but I think I would have told you about it.
Two Best Friends,
because that was recent. The split for that happened like 2 months ago.
Oh no, I didn't know that. I thought this happened a while ago, so it wasn't that. You're wrong.
I'm never wrong.
You're always wrong. Anyway,
in fact, so Mega 64's first DVD release was actually published through somethingawful.com. The dude who does Night Vale got his start on Something Awful, or at least he wrote for it.
Really? When you
listen, if you listen to Night Vale, a lot of it sounds like a Something Awful article.
Oh, I never really went to Something Awful, so.
Good, you shouldn't. It's not very good. Oh. It lives up to the name. There's quality stuff on Something Awful if you go digging for it, but like Night Vale, like, oh hey, here's a news report about there being a spider on you, like shit like that was what Something Awful was kind of built around. Almost all of Adult Swim humor style to Something Awful. The like Aqua Teen style of like not really humor, but just sort of disgust and discomfort. I don't believe Tim and Eric are directly related to Something Awful, but it's the same style, and Something Awful was doing it earlier. The history of Something Awful is a lot less interesting than I initially thought it was going to be. And I think a lot of that well categorized, or cataloged rather. When I looked it up, there were a handful of controversies that were written about, but for the most part, nothing particularly interesting, properly sourced. The only thing I could find is that in 2003, 2004, com bubble had burst, and as a result, a ton of advertisers had gone under, and Low Tax was not getting paid the ad revenue for like months and months. And I believe at this point, job, so we kind of needed it.
Okay.
So he comes up with the novel idea of like, here's what we're going to do. Instead of relying on ads, we're going to open a form, and you pay $10 to get into the form. Instead of money for different features on the form.
Which is how
yeah. Yes. Yeah. This is how the microtransaction system of Something Awful began. Well,
I don't think they would appreciate you referring to it as that.
That's what it fucking is. It's just microtransactions. What else do you call it? You got to pay $10. I pay $5 to get an avatar. You got to pay like $5 to be able to use the archive, which doesn't work. Spend your money on it. You can spend like $3 to change someone else's avatar, and then they have to spend like $3 to change it back.
This is fucking stupid.
It's stupid, but it's genius. Because I'll tell you this right now, David. There's a bunch of people who, if I could spend $3 to change their avatar, I'd do it. Ton of shit that I would love to force someone to wear as their face for a day. It's a great idea. There's all sorts of stupid shit that you can pay for on something awful. Record, they do run ads still. You have to pay to get the adless version of the site. And I don't think you can pay to get the front page adless. I think you can only pay to get the forums adless. This is actually really funny. When Danganronpa 2 came out, a bunch of people who were following a Let's Play of it on the LP forum, because it was the only play. Like, this is before the game came out in America, and there was a dude who was translating it, because that's how Danganronpa got its start in America. Who lives in Japan, liked it a lot, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll just translate it for you guys here. Come out in the West because it's too obtuse and odd, so I'll just translate it myself." Popular with people outside of Something Awful that it justified them getting the translation rights to it. But you can basically thank that one user on Something Awful.
Oh shit.
But while he was translating it, because the rest of the website was so irritated with how much Tumblr liked it, some dude took out a shit ton of ads and he just put spoilers for Danganronpa 2 in them.
I think I heard about that, which is fucking great. Like that's horrible,
great.
but it's the epitome of the internet. It's a great joke that is such a dick move.
So like people would have to pay like more money to get the adless version of the site. The moderator at a while was like, "I tell you what, if you know for a fact that people on Tumblr are sharing to view the LP, and if you report it to me, I will give you a free account. I'll personally pay your entrance fee." They really fucking don't like Tumblr.
Clearly.
Which is ironic considering where the website has sort of gone last few years. Which is full social justice. Let me tell you.
Wasn't that most of the internet? Most of the cool places on the internet?
Yep.
Didn't even 4chan go that route?
Yes and no. The controversy with 4chan was more that like the moderators of V were like really pissy about Gamergate.
Wasn't it also?
At that point,
more in general, doesn't 4chan just go through revolt every like year or two anyway?
Yeah, more or less. Things have largely died down since then. Now that Moot no longer owns the website, he actually sold it to the dude who made the original 2chan. And that dude is he's a Japanese and he speaks perfect English, but he types in broken English as a joke.
That's pretty great.
At one point, like when he took over, he went to poll the politics board and he was like, "This place not very good for advertisers. I think I might get rid of." He was worse than that. I'm like adding in down. Like, "This place no good. No adverts. Get rid of." He didn't get rid of it.
Clearly.
He's just like,
no. Well, and if you're gonna fuck with anyone on 4chan, it should be poll. Like,
yep.
Mostly because it's like the easiest. Yeah. It's the easiest place to fuck with people.
It's pretty easy with people on V, to be honest. You just have to talk shit about like Dark Souls or something, or you have to talk up Mass Effect, basically. Oh boy.
Well, now we have Neo, which is Dark Souls for hardcore players.
There's a lot of Neo threads on V right now. Whatever. That's not what this podcast is about. There's a problem with Something Awful. Is other than the rise of Let's Plays, there's not really all that much to talk about Something Awful that's super interesting. Like there's a handful of moderators on Something Awful who are like rapists and pedophiles or some shit. That's just sort of par for the course for the internet, to be honest.
Well, I mean, that's also why this episode's called something. The story, it's the spiel of Something Awful's Shmorky, not of Something Awful, because you need the setup for the actual story, but Something Awful is not the center of the story. It's a website that gained popularity and has managed to stay around. It's a fucking 4Pay forum that has survived. So it sounded insane at the time, but it worked, and you got to give him props for it working. I mean, I know you said he Low Tax wants to make a living off of this, and it's not really worked out in his favor that way over in the long run. But I mean, the site like supports itself and shit, so that's better than a lot of websites.
He doesn't need to get. He doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't have to get He doesn't have to work a day job. He lives moderately well. He lives in the middle class, so it's successful.
Well, where did you say he lives?
But he's not. He lives in Louisiana, so
Yeah, fucking
middle class Louisiana.
Fucking been hit by natural disasters just the other day.
Yeah. Tanker crashed in that swampland, and there's that ghost girl. There's a whole county that you just can't go to anymore.
There's not a ghost gorilla.
Ghost girl.
Oh, what ghost? What are you talking about? Shut up.
It's a resident, whatever. Who cares?
Are you making? Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
God damn it, David! I hate you so much.
I forgot it was in Louisiana. Shmorky. Okay.
So Shmorky, who is he? Why? So you know what Something Awful is. So who's Shmorky? Why is he so important? Something
before we go to skip right to Shmorky, we should just mention, because we mentioned it earlier. Yeah, Something Awful is what started the Let's Plays. Slow Beef is basically credited as like the creator of that. Because Let's Plays didn't start on Something Awful, because I know the original Let's Plays are fucking written articles. I've read written Let's Plays, and they're less interesting than you might think. But then it's like I read a written Let's Play for the quadrilogy of games that fucking Zero Punctuation's Yahtzee made before it did Zero Punctuation, and I'm much happier that I read that than like watched a video, because looking at the screenshots, like I don't need to watch that game. Like having someone describe it to me is more interesting in that kind of case.
That one in particular is really good because Yahtzee himself actually is a user of Something Awful, and he chimes into the thread.
It's a really cool like relic of the internet at this point.
They still do them on Something Awful, by the way.
The written ones too?
The Ronpa ones were written because like the dude had translated, so he's just like it's just screenshots and then text. There's a lot of games, like a lot of long form RPGs work better in that format than in videos.
Well, also
like a lot of old ones.
Wasn't the release of Danganronpa 2 in that period when Let's Plays were just starting to catch on? Video ones were just starting to catch on anyway, because it was a few years before it came out here, wasn't it?
No, it came out in Japan in like 2012, 2013. It came out in America in 2014.
Oh, okay. It took us forever just to get the first one then.
This one came out in like 2010.
Yeah, that
was the one no one expected. Yeah. I think Danganronpa 2 was a PSP game originally as well.
Maybe.
They got re-released for the Vita when they brought them over here. Whatever.
It's like fucking Ace Attorney.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Let's Plays were a common thing on the game forums. Of someone would just be like, "Hey, let's play this game." Edited with the first video Let's Play. He did a video of My Immortal where he talked over it. Sorry, not My Immortal, The Immortal. My Immortal was that talked about in 2008. Excuse me. Then he did Super Metroid. Slowbeef was a pretty notable guy in the mid 2000s. He was part of the first, for I believe it was Police Knots, which he also actually I believe helped with the fan translation of the original Metal Gear for the MSX. Like before his assistance with that, before those projects, those games were not available in English, I believe.
Oh shit.
I mean, this is like 2001. Those games came out like with a proper official translation with Snake Eater. Metal Gear 1 and 2 came out on
Right.
that
Yeah.
disc.
Yeah.
But Police Knots, I believe, has still officially no American release.
No. I'm pretty sure
I
it's. It's. I think that's the one that because Snatcher I think got one.
Snatcher got one, definitely.
But yeah, no, Police Knots never did.
Is it Police? No, it's Snatcher is the one that's supposed to take place in the Metal Gear universe.
Maybe.
There's literally a Metal Gear in it.
Maybe.
It's called a Metal Gear and everything.
Maybe.
Anyway, yeah. Slowbeef will take part in the soliloquy of Shmorky here. A very minor part, though.
How dare you use a better alliterative word than
Yeah,
what
don't
I put
fuck
in the
with
title.
me, David.
You fuckhead. You should have just said that beforehand.
The soliloquy of Shmorky.
We'll have another S person because it's a very common name.
We also have the serenade of Shmorky.
Fuck you. Where were you half an hour ago?
You never asked. I would have told you. I would have given you a shit ton of them.
Well,
You ever see that show? You ever see that show, Oban Star Racers?
No, but I know I've seen bits and pieces, but I never watched it.
Every episode of that is like the villain's name and then an adjective, and it's like a weird format. So it's like vicious like Victor, or like Betty or something. And I don't know why, but that format has always stuck in my head. And I've gotten really good at it.
Shmorky.
So Shmorky is an internet animator, and he's all things considered. He was doing like not professional grade, but like solid ass animation in 2003, 2004. Far ahead of what Newgrounds people were producing. And at a pretty regular basis. Like when you look at people on Newgrounds, there's a handful of people who could really do like amazing stuff.
Everyone made
like
it for the most part. All the best people made it like 5 to 8 episodes into a cool series, and then tried to take on a really big project, and then died.
Yeah, like Bitey of Brackenwood.
Yeah, like that.
That one's legitimately really good. Like animation wise, it's really good and really impressive. But you got one episode a year. Shmorky was putting out shit, and he was putting it out like once a month for something awful. He was legitimately putting out content. It wasn't like easy animation either. Like it was like Looney Tunes-esque, absurdist animation. It's more Ren and Stimpy-esque, I guess. The type of shit that now you see on Adult Swim at 3 a.m. Because like this year, Shmorky did like an animation bump for Adult Swim.
Oh shit! That makes our story even worse.
That's like sitting at a table and there's a fire around it, and he says, "This is fine."
You mean the Casey Green comic? Yeah.
Is like really good friends with Shmorky, and Adult Swim wanted him to animate that, and he was like, "No, get my buddy Shmorky to do it." So if you see that animation, a diaper-loving, shitty pedophile tranny did it. So good job.
So they actually animated that?
Yeah, it's there. It's like this absurdist rendition of it.
I gotta go look this up while we're recording.
Yeah, Yeah, you do that, David. Another recording. Why don't you
Fuck
file
you.
some papers?
You ruined the first attempt at this.
Uh,
What is that dog called?
I don't know what the dog's called. It's a fucking dog. It probably doesn't even have a
Adult
name.
Swim dog.
Fine dog. Hot dog. Hot dog. That's got to be it.
Fine.
Anyway, so Shmorky is an internet animator who was really down on his luck. Much like Lotax, he got hit by the dot-com bubble pretty hard. He put all of his stock in like learning like animation techniques and shit on like computers, and then computers didn't really fall out the way he wanted them to. So down on his luck and homeless, Shmorky would find a home with something awful, and he would spend from about 2004 to about 2014, not exact dates on those, where he would be basically the vice captain of something awful. I don't think he really like a moderator role on the forums, but he was a face of the website along with Lotax. I think next to Lotax, if you ask someone from something awful, they'll probably say Shmorky or Slow Beef. Himself has even found like fairly good success outside of something awful, where Shmorky never really did.
He just kept doing what he was doing.
Sort of, yeah. And there's a lot of stuff that like people still love that Shmorky did. Old Random Assault, not an old one. There was a recent Random Assault episode where someone had commented about Shmorky, and they were like, "Oh yeah, that dude. He did the Furious Famicom faggot." I love that video. Fun of the angry video game nerd. You get it? Furious Famicom faggot.
Yes. Ha. Jokes.
And even they were like, "Yeah, I love that video." Like, why? What did he do? And like, "Oh, he's a pedophile diaper firm." It's like, "Oh, well."
I like the way you
like,
describe things.
he's a very well known dude. Like he has strong connections in the animation industry.
That's crazy. Like I didn't know that part of the story. I just known the other bits you've like sprinkled that to me over the past like 2 months.
See, he knows a ton of people in the animation industry because the animation industry is an incestuous slurry of people who all come from like two schools. They all animate the exact same way. There's no ingenuity. There's no innovation. There's nothing interesting or unique or anything. If you have a style or a tone or something that you don't already see on TV, you're not going to get a job in the animation industry. You might as well not even try. You've wasted your life. Anyway, David.
Continue.
Yeah. Shmorky those pretty big names in the current animation industry is Rebecca Sugar.
Oh wow. That's somehow wait, no,
Not,
actually that doesn't for some reason that doesn't surprise me.
it's because the animation industry is an incestuous slur of people who there's no animation. That's true, by the way. Look up the Cal Arts meme sometime.
It's just called like, Cal Arts meme.
They're like the like something like 80% of like animators on network television like come from the the California Institute of Arts, and they all have the exact same art style. It's not the exact same art style. Like when you put them next to each other, they look similar, but there's differences in the actual shows. But still.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, I know what you're. I didn't realize that was the Cal Arts meme was all like Steven Universe and Gumball and all them lined up.
Which isn't exactly fair because Gumball is like what it's probably the most innovative animation.
Yeah,
show.
Gumball looks like that, and like his like friend and like his dad, and then everyone else is different. Like that's why That's why I haven't watched that show yet, but it's why it's been on my list to watch. Is just because it's an animator's wet dream, basically.
Yeah, like the family looks like Cal Arts, and everyone else is different. Fish is his brother.
Oh,
If you didn't
okay.
know,
I did not know.
it's like
Clearly.
it's a weird world where like inanimate objects just sort of gain sentience, and then they just sort of join whatever family owns them.
Weird.
So he was like his pet goldfish, and then he just sort of became a person one day, I think. Anyway, Rebecca Sugar, and then when I say Rebecca, when he knows Rebecca Sugar, I don't mean like they're Twitter friends.
No, like I figured they're friends.
Within the last 2 years, they had dinner together.
Well, that's not that big of a deal.
It's a big deal when like
I guess.
when one of them lives in like backwater Louisiana, and the other one lives in like wherever the fuck Cartoon Network is, LA, I imagine, somewhere in California.
I know Adult Swim's in fucking Atlanta, so I don't know.
Oh, actually, yeah. Well, now Georgia's pretty far. Atlanta's pretty far from Louisiana.
It's
Still,
dude. They're one state apart, and it's barely. Yeah, because it's Georgia touches Alabama, which touches Louisiana,
oh,
and they all touch Florida. I think.
I guess so.
Matt.
I guess that wouldn't be that far then, but still. Like that's a state. Someone like you don't do that for someone that you only know.
They're 2 states apart. I forgot Mississippi's in the middle.
Yeah, you don't do that for someone that like you only know through Twitter or something. That's sway in the industry. In fact, he was offered quite a few jobs to be a showrunner at Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network.
And
because Shmorky is a massive egomaniac. He cannot stand the idea of anyone the ideal vision of his show. His ex-fiancée, Mandy, who is we'll go into a little more detail on her here in a second here. Sort of the source for a lot of the shit on Shmorky. She revealed that one of his ideas was Wizzy, which was about a little black girl who was a wizard.
And
in the first episode, she and her friend. You go ahead.
No. I was just, I don't know. It sounds weird, but so the first episode, she and her friend, what? I want to know. Tell me.
She and her friends have a all-girl slumber party. And so they turn him into a girl so he can go to the slumber party, and that's the episode.
Well, didn't you say? Never mind. Keep going. Okay.
So he like, and they were like, it's kind of weird. Do you think maybe you could like? He's like, no, I can't. No, I can't. Okay, because it's a show about tolerance, and it's a show about gender fluidity and all this other horse shit that I believe in and whatnot. And presumably there were a lot more. We will get to some of the shit that Shmorky might have pitched.
Okay.
But now let's get into Shmorky. Let's get into the fucking saga here. I'm pulling up the doc. I'm not just going off memory anymore. So there's 4 main people in this story. There's Shmorky. There's Lotax.
Okay.
Who we've covered.
Yes.
And there's Mandy Milan.
I thought you said there's 4.
There's 4. I want to talk about Mandy Milan a little bit first.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Mandy Milan.
You confused me, but I get it.
Mandy Milan is Shmorky's schizophrenic ex-fiancée, who he could not have met her before 2014.
Okay.
He couldn't have met her before 2013 because in 2013, Lotax started the gaming garbage videos. And she explicitly mentions them the first time they ever talk. So she had to have seen them.
Okay.
Couldn't have met. So, like, you have to understand, they were together for not even 2 years, and they were going to be married. Like, come on, seriously.
It's
Get it together.
It's more it's more common than you'd think, but I agree. Get it together.
Yeah, fucking 7 years minimum.
What?
7 years minimum. If you're not with someone for 7 years, don't even think about it. Don't even think about getting married. That's my rule.
Okay.
If you can stand to be with someone for if you're with someone for 7 years, you just have to bite the bullet because you're not going to be with anyone else. Sorry. You both can't do it before then, and afterwards you can't not do it.
I see.
Sorry. Anyway.
Okay.
Mandy is schizophrenic. I believe I think I said that already.
You did say that.
She's super fucking crazy. Super fucking crazy. And she is like the old school demonic Christian schizophrenic. She's not the new agey schizophrenic, which is like the CIA is drilling holes in my teeth for satellite signals.
That's
she's
old
straight
school schizophrenic, dude. That's like did too much acid schizophrenic.
She spends at least 3 or 4 months texting low tax coming for him.
Why? Oh, what? Okay.
I don't like low tax for some reason. I never figured out why. Probably because she's schizophrenic. Just a thought.
Okay.
As she will tell the story, is that she was on her meds, and then Shmorky moved them out. I want to say Washington. I want to say it's Spokane, Washington. And once she was there, she couldn't get her meds. And the first time she tried, they like retained her on psychiatric leave and like sedated her really bad for like 2 days. They gave her meds for like 2 weeks. And then she ran out and she was like, well, fuck, I'm not going back there for more.
Yeah, well, fucking
so she just let him,
Jesus Christ.
So she just let him run out.
Well, which is of course worse.
Insane.
Almost.
Here's the thing about Mandy. She's crazy.
She's an unreliable narrator.
It's not just that she's legally crazy. It's that even when she's on the drugs, which she, as far as we know, she is now, she doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. That while she was offered drugs, she had this bizarre vision that she had to go to Cambodia to find the bones of Jesus Christ.
Why are the bones of Jesus Christ in Cambodia?
I don't know. They just are. I think there was something to do with dinosaur bones too. I'm not sure about that. I might have imagined that part. I think I was watching Jurassic Park while I was reading.
That might have been your own schizophrenia talking.
Yeah. And after she's on the drugs, she decides she's still going to go to Cambodia. Not to find the bones of Jesus Christ.
Just because Cambodia is a cool place?
But she's going to go to Cambodia for a fresh start, and people are like, wait a minute, if you can't get a hold of your fucking drugs in Washington, what makes you think you're going to be able to get them in Cambodia? Answer.
Drugs everywhere.
She keeps saying she wants a man with strong Western values, and she's going to Cambodia to find him. Which figures someone at some point would pull out a map and just show her where Cambodia is and that it's to the right of the center line. So it's not, it's I don't fucking understand it. Speaking, the rule here is if Mandy says something, but if low tax says something else, go with low tax. Because low tax has a bit of a victim complex, but it's nowhere near as bad as Shmorky's. And if he's talking about someone else, he's probably being truthful.
Okay. So is that just like the basic rule for this story?
That's the basic rule, is that if Mandy says something and someone that contradicts it, always take the other person. A tiered canon. If I can be as autistic as I possibly can for a second here. In most works of fiction that take place across multiple medias, there's something called a tiered canon. Has this, Halo has this, Evangelion has this. The basic idea is that different works are on different tiers.
It's Star Wars. Star Wars is the prime example of this.
So in Star Wars, the films are the highest level of canon. If something contradicts them, it's wrong.
Yeah.
It's just wrong. It's like the films, the books, the games, and then it's like concept stuff that didn't go into the movie. Like that stuff didn't happen, but you can kind of draw conclusions from it. The idea of a tiered canon is that if there's a contradiction, whatever is higher up on the tiers is the winner. Mandy is the bottom tier. Mandy is only above Shmorky. Then there's carefully, and then there's low tax.
Who's carefully?
Carefully is the fourth person. I'll talk about Shmorky. You see that slick ass transition there, David?
Yes, I did. And
this is a much better
my,
podcast.
I did my part to move it along by saying, "Who's that?"
So Carefully is the girl that blew the fucking lid off of Shmorky. We wouldn't be having this episode if it wasn't for Carefully.
Wait, is it what? Carefully, like
Carefully is her username.
Like be careful, like carefully.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I wanted to make sure I was saying that right.
I don't believe her real name's out there. No one really interested in who Carefully is. Basically, at the start of January, she comes into the Kiwi Farms thread on Shmorky and drops 91 pages of Skype chat logs between her and Shmorky, which shows that he's been having these bizarre diaper roleplay sessions with her. And she's like, and she says, we've been having these since like 2012 when I was like 16. Which means that Shmorky was doing his bizarre fetish porn role-playing with a minor. It's him in pedophile territory.
Well, that's the same thing that happened to Chris Chan, except this sounds less misleading.
This is the opposite of what happened to Chris Chan, because with Chris Chan was being catfished, basically.
Oh yeah, but you're right. This is the opposite. It's similar, but the opposite of.
This is Shmorky finding a minor who's also schizophrenic, I should add, her into his bizarre fetish slave over however many years.
Okay.
For the most part, Carefully is reliable in her testimony, but she's also schizophrenic. And there were some times where people were like poking holes in what she was saying and things didn't really line up. She did apparently give verification to the admin of Kiwi Farms that proved that her story was legit, put it out in public, and he vouched for her. But the admin of Kiwi Farms, as we will find out at the end of our episode.
What is Kiwi Farms?
Kiwi Farms, we talked about Kiwi Farms at the start of It Came From the Internet in the Chris Chan episodes. Kiwi Farms was a forum dedicated to people fucking with Chris. The Quickie Farms. CWCKI. And then Chris misread it as Kiwi Farms. And then it became Kiwi Farms. Yes. Farms, as it was known, was administrated by a user named Null, whose real name is Joshua Moon. And
okay.
Joshua Moon for the end. But suffice to say, he kind of ruined everything. So thanks. Josh, you piece of shit.
It just the way you were saying, I didn't realize
Anyway.
Kiwi Farms was. It sounded like that was a something awful board, and I had forgotten. Yeah, it's Christian.
It's substantially better than the something awful board because low tax will actually post there sometimes. Real thing, like low tax spent a lot of time on Kiwi Farms during the Shmorky drama, and he was actively like taking shit from Kiwi Farms to something awful and yelling at people like, "This is what we should be doing. This is what we used to do. Why aren't we doing this anymore?"
Because
So
they found a website to make comedy, whereas Kiwi Farms is a website set up to admire and mock natural born comedy.
there's a really good moment in the chat logs where Shmorky like it's like fuck, what is it? It's like I'm going to lick your pee pee and you'll be it's a very bizarre way he said it. It's like I'm going to lick you, very surprised at my adequacy in that aspect of the situation. It's super fucking weird. I'm like halfway there. I don't know the exact. Someone just took that quote and caught and like photoshopped the poster for the Bye Bye Man, Poo Poo Man, and put that as the tagline under it. And he specifically took that image and he was like, "Why aren't we doing this shit anymore? Now all you people do is sit around and complain about trannies," which is also what Kiwi Farms does. To be fair, did.
That are you referring specifically to complaining about Chris Chan? Because I don't think that counts.
And there was an entire board dedicated to trannies on Kiwi Farms. Fair. Like of the episodes we've done, I think at least a fourth, at least a third of them are on trannies. So
What?
or people pretending to be tranny. Let's put it that way. Chris Chan, Jerry Pete.
Yeah, but that was the icing on the Chris Chan cake. Like most of that story, he wasn't a tranny for most of that story.
Jeff Keighley, probably.
Shut up, Dylan.
All right. So I guess this is such a hectic episode because it's just reading it. It's like it was nauseating to wrap your mind around, and there was so much of it. The thread was 250 pages before it ended.
Jesus Christ!
And I had to read all of it
to get the full story.
Because this was happening like early January, late December. So I was working constantly, and I would like
killing yourself in between, like trying to read this saga while also working your ass off.
Because I don't have a phone or anything, so I like when I'm at work, I'm at work. I can't like check the internet for anything. And there's 30 more pages, and on top of all this other shit, I'm trying to play video games. You know, like come on. Gravity Rush 2 came out.
Why
it wasn't very good.
It happened to me. Anyway.
It was hectic, and like I wasn't taking notes properly because I was an idiot. Such like a hassle to just even follow it. Like there's such reiteration of information. We couldn't tell it in chronological order because you need to know who all these people are to understand the point of view they're coming from and whether or not you should believe them. It doesn't make sense unless you come at it from like a reasonable timeline. It's like trying to play Kingdom Hearts sense when you try to explain it and condense it. Works if you play it in the release order, and then stuff kind of works. But the moment you try to like force it down a little more, it just doesn't happen.
As you were saying.
Okay. So our timeline begins in either 1982 or 1985
Is this when
with the
Shmorky's
birth of
born?
Shmorky.
Wait,
Yes,
why is there a
Shmorky's born.
3-year gap?
So that's the thing, is Shmorky lies about his age, but he only lies by 3 years. Later on...
So it's not a Daniel Nyman situation where it's like 30 years.
No. It's super bizarre that he would lie about 3 years. Mandy says that at one point they went to visit his family who lives in a trailer in the middle of nowhere in New Jersey, so that's pretty funny. He may actually be the Jersey Devil, to be honest. That seems to line up pretty well. While they were in Shmorky's room,
Wait. So it weirdo lies about 3 years of his age and is into this weird stuff. Lines up with a winged beast creature that terrorized New Jersey in the late 1800s.
Well, the Jersey Devil was supposed to be like the child of a whore mutated because it was wrong or something.
It was the devil.
Have you seen Shmorky? He kind of looks like a horseman.
You've just shown me the diaper baby image.
Apparently, that's not actually him. Apparently, that is that's like a Photoshop that someone on Something Awful did. It's a pretty good one, if it is.
I don't know. I have no idea what he looks like, so.
He doesn't look very good.
Okay, tell me.
So Shmorky and Mandy went to visit his family in New Jersey, in backwater nowhere. And while they were staying there, she saw a drawing that Shmorky had drawn, and it was 3 tombstones that had their birth dates on them. From that he had drawn when he was like
An age?
I was gonna say he had drawn it from when he was like, okay, he would have been like 14. If he was born in 1985, he would have been like 14. But if he was born in 82, he would have been like 18. It was like a child's drawing. But now that I'm thinking about it, like, maybe it was like an actual real drawing of tombstones, and that's way fucking weirder. Whatever. Anyways, it had his birth date up to it had his age up to 2001 when the drawing was made, from what his age at the time would be. No, Mandy doesn't give an exact age. She never explicitly states how old he is or when he was born. She's schizophrenic, so for all we know, she misread it. Forgot it.
It's a little weird that we don't like. Well, couldn't you look up his age now?
You probably like
Has he been arrested yet?
No, he hasn't.
Other people in the
Someone
story
else
have.
has.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Mandy theorizes that the reason he has changed his age by by such a minuscule amount is because, and he was put under like a huge. So he was put under a huge amount of abuse for like 3 years, and he has just forced the memories out. That's why, because Shmorky, by all accounts, Shmorky sounds like he was a normal person the mid-2000s, and then he goes fucking insane.
What? Why?
No one knows. So the Mandy's theory is something happens to Shmorky, and then he goes full fucking troon.
Okay.
What's a troon, Dylan? Well, I'm glad you asked, David. A troon is slang for a trainee goon, because goons are what people on Something Awful
are called.
And I guess there's a lot of I guess that's what there's a lot of trainees on Something Awful, because of fucking course there are.
I don't know, but Goon
Where
Squad's
else
been
would they be?
around before the internet became apparently obsessed with trannies.
Been a while. I don't follow Mandy's theory because I believe all of Shmorky's fucked up fetishes and whatnot have origins closer to home. Kind of implies that Shmorky wasn't always a fucked up person, just that he was better at hiding it. I don't think that's true. I don't believe that theory. I just think at some point Shmorky's egotism got to him. He no longer felt that he had to repress who he was. So some quick thoughts about Shmorky's family. His father, his genetic father, is not in the picture. He never was. Person who Shmorky calls dad is his stepfather. He has been his stepfather ever since he was born, which Mandy doesn't confirm this, but that basically means that Shmorky's mother is his stepfather and that he decided to stay with her. Kid.
Okay.
Shmorky's mother is also full-on crazy. She tried to kill herself in front of Shmorky by jumping out of a moving car.
Jesus Christ.
His stepfather is now wheelchair-bound, and Mandy says that he couldn't speak, but she didn't think it was because he had a stroke. She just thought he was super fucking high. I guess she would know.
Like
she also
like
at some point
or like drugs.
I guess I in my mind I imagine it's pain. But
No, not even meth. Not even meth. Like we're going just full on. Just.
I feel like once you live in a trailer, meth's a little above your pay grade.
I thought no. What?
No, I know it's not necessarily. I just feel like it's a little too expensive for someone.
You're not good enough for meth if you live in a. I want that on the record.
You just can't afford it. Afford like a shitty apartment or something. You can't really afford meth. Come on. $10 a can. $10 for a spray can.
Dude, a fucking trailer park gives you like, regardless of how shitty, a fucking yard too. Like that's higher class than like some slum apartment.
Yeah, but you have to worry about tornadoes.
In a tornado state.
Every state's a tornado state, David. Don't ever let them tell you otherwise.
Do you have haunting memories from watching Wizard of Oz at an impressionable age?
No, when I was for real, there was one summer when I was like 11 where every day all I did was watch the Weather Channel and just watch tornadoes destroy neighborhoods, and it fucked me up real bad. You'd figure I would have stopped, but no, I didn't.
Just all day, constantly.
If I
perfect viewing for a child is just nonstop tornadoes and destruction.
If I had that sense of self-preservation, I wouldn't be here doing this podcast with you. I'd be somewhere else.
You'd be living a normal life.
I'd be doing something enjoyable.
As an actual person without issues.
Yes. Mandy puts forth the theory that Shmorky's stepdad is a hitman.
What?
Or was for a while. I don't know. She doesn't. All I know is that people were joking about it in the thread, and she said it at one point, but she never expanded on it. And as far as I know, I think she just thought it.
The end.
Yeah, and then like she thought about it, and then she never bothered to bring it up because she's crazy. Also, I'm not certain of this. But I'm pretty sure Shmorky is the oldest of his brothers. Two brothers, and I'm pretty sure they're both younger than he is. And apparently, both his brothers and his stepdad beat the shit out of him.
Because he's a diaper baby boy?
I assume it's the other way around. Of like he's a diaper baby boy because he was infantilized because he was beat.
That
That's
works
probably
too.
how it started. At some point he got beat so hard that he pissed himself, and it was like he was probably beat outside where it was cold and his piss was warm. Forced a sense of comfort with urine for him.
You've thought about this too
That's
much
usually how
already,
it goes.
Dylan. Too much.
No, this is just no. It's just I just think about serial killers a whole bunch, and it's all the same thing.
It's all rationalizing
I'm
why
not
they have
lost.
these weird fucking mental hangups. You're
Yeah,
just playing You're just playing armchair psychiatrist.
yeah, more or less. David, tornadoes really stuck with me. So we don't really know a whole lot about Shmorky's life. He apparently graduated college, I think. His known time on the internet is on a website called Oekaki Board. Oekaki. It's Japanese for drawing. Do you get it?
No.
Do you hate it?
No. I just don't care.
I don't really know what this. I thought I knew what this website was. There's a webum that goes around a lot in like, and it's some dude who just goes onto this. There's like some website where it's just a bunch of rooms where people draw shit, and he just goes in and he just draws a skeleton and he just writes, "Don't rattle my bones."
I love that webum.
And he just
Can you
the one,
send
yeah,
it
the
to
one
me
set
again?
to it's somewhere. It's a great webum. I thought that's what it was. Then I actually went to the website and apparently it's not. So I don't know what the fuck it is. As far as I can tell, it's like a mixture of 8chan and Reddit, but like for artists, where anyone can just make a board with a topic, and then users kind of talk about it and shit. He had his own board, and people on the board would give him shit all the time because of his weird diaper art. Before Shmorky knew that he had to hide that shit. I guess he kind of knew.
You always were
During
supposed to
this
hide that shit.
time, Shmorky is going by the username Cave Deli. His real name is Dave Kelly. So you see, it's not clever, but it's a name. So there's a whole lot of nothing for Shmorky, honestly, for most of its time. We do know that he's homeless for a while because of the .com bubble. He stays with an internet friend that he made, and his internet friend is like, "Hey man, it's time to pay the rent," and Shmorky's like, "Sorry man, I don't have any money. I'll tell you what though, I'll suck your dick."
Wait, really? What?
Yes, that's as far as I can tell. That's how the exchange went. His
Did the
exact
internet
words.
friend take him up on that offer?
He did. So for a few months, that's how Shmorky paid the rent with sexual favors.
Shmorky was briefly a prostitute. Okay.
So now Shmorky constantly talks about this on his Twitter and shit, as he is a traumatized rape victim. And he had like one of those really stupid fucking Tumblr comics that's like 14 pages and it's
whoa.
poorly drawn.
We need to take a step back because you cannot be a traumatized rape victim if you propose sex, if you propose prostitution and then go through with it. That does not make you a rape victim.
That's exactly what his wife said. Mandy really, really harps on that point in the Kiwi Farms thread, is how he can't be a victim if he's the one who starts it.
Yeah, no.
And Shmorky has one of those shitty Tumblr comics that's like an autobiography of someone's life. Annoyingly like melodramatic and shit. And even in that comic, he's like, he didn't force me, but he didn't need to. His presence was bad enough. And the way he draws the roommate makes it look like his roommate was the amazing atheist. who did live in Louisiana. I believe the Amazing Atheist is a native of Louisiana, so maybe it was him. Also, I kind of forgot about this point, but Shmorky was born in I think it's Mineral, Virginia, and it's about 2 or 3 hours from Ruckersville, where Chris Chan is born.
It's all intersecting, Dylan. Stop it now. Pull the plug.
It comes together.
Pull the plug.
Shmorky's homeless for a while until eventually he finds something awful. Low-Tax likes the animations he does. Though they're not actually very profitable. They don't really seem to make a whole lot of money. But they're popular. People like them. And he's doing honest work. Shmorky is putting in the time and the effort to do it. So he says, all right, I'll pay you every month for the animations, and you can live in the office in the meantime. Because Something Awful has an office for some reason.
Is a .com bubble.
Yeah, it doesn't have the office anymore. The office
Obviously.
Closed down like in 2015.
Destructoid used to have an office.
Still,
they
it
don't have a
lasted
fucking office anymore.
They don't?
No.
Oh, holy shit. Jed's fat ass just has to roll out of bed and sit in front of his laptop now. Oh, that's awful.
That's what their office was, just a house.
Fun fact, Jed Whittaker lives in my state.
Well, then how would he have gone to the office? Because the office was in California, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think he joined after the office probably went down. But my point is, I could get in a fight with Jed Whittaker if I wanted to.
Do you want to get in a fight with Jed Whittaker?
Maybe. I don't know, David. Let's see where this culture war grows.
Which one? The political one or the stupid one on the internet?
All of them. I want to see where each one goes, and then I'm going to see what they spell out. After all the lines are drawn, I'm going to connect the dots and see what the message is, and that's where I'm going to decide my fate.
You're going to connect those dots, and it's just going to say you're a faggot.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it's going to say drink your Ovaltine.
That's a better joke. That's probably that's also. I mean, both of those are very distinct possibilities. Just the plainly insulting one, and then the one that's just a fucking ad.
So anyway. Nothing really happens for Shmorky for the mid-2000s. He's, from the way Low-Tax says it, he and Shmorky were really good friends. Low-Tax straight up says Shmorky was his best friend in the world for 5 or so years. The two were really close. They were writing scripts all the time for stupid shit. They just seemed to click together really well. That Low-Tax was putting a roof over Shmorky's head. This is generally regarded as Shmorky's normal period. This is before. This is when Shmorky was like a normal person. He was a transvestite rape victim.
Before he decided he was a citizen.
Yes. 2008 rolls around. 2008 to 2009 is when Retsu Prey starts. Retsu Prey, for those of you who don't know, which probably isn't very many of you, series where Slow Beef and Diabetes, who were users of Something Awful, Slow Beef was the moderator, the Let's Play forum. We talked about him earlier ago because these podcasts are long as fuck. And basically all they would do is they would just sort of riff on videos. And they really, looking back at them, they're not great videos. At the time, I really, really loved them. It was just two dudes making fun of shitty video game videos. And now they've sort of moved on to doing long plays of shitty 90s games. That's not super interesting, to be honest. They did a few on Darkseed, which were these weird point-and-click games that H.R. Geiger, they're awful. And those were great. And then somewhere along the line, they just sort of lost the charm, I think. In particular, they started getting a ton of fucking guest stars on there, and a lot of those dudes are pretty fucking cringy. One of whom, in particular, I want to talk about, and I just forgot what his name was, so I can't. So great. Anyway, the reason I bring up Retsupre is because Shmorky is in a few Retsupre videos, and he's not talkative during them. So even during this era of Shmorky's life, he was a pretty reserved person. But he's funny. Video of Kirby Superstar where the dude's like overly excited, and in the background you can just hear Shmorky go like, "Yeah, we're gonna fucking play Kirby Superstar. Fuck you, mom." And I went back and I watched it, and it still makes me laugh really hard. And I'm amazed it's him because he doesn't sound like a cartoon character. We kind of glossed over that fact.
Does he sound like a cartoon character now?
That he sounds like Mickey Mouse.
I did not know that.
I'm hoping to come back to this one and edit it up a little bit. So hopefully that point will be a little more apparent in that version. But if you haven't seen Shmorky, he talks like this. He puts his voice really, really high, and he talks all goofy like a cartoon character, you know? For some reason, I just talked like I was from Minnesota at the end there. But
No, you didn't. You did not go full on Joel from Mystery Science Theater.
I was getting there. Fargo-esque at the end.
Don't bring up Fargo. You're gonna just distract me.
Yeah, I am. And in these Retsupre videos, he doesn't do that. And it's super, he sounds a lot like Slow Beef, actually. Like, the first few times I watched those videos, I just thought it was Slow Beef, and he was just moving away from the microphone because he was going to shout, and he didn't want to blow my ears out. One video in particular, which is like Wario, it's a WarioWare one, and they're just making fun of the kid because he's got a southern accent. And they're like pretending to be his dad, and Shmorky comes in and he's like, no son of mine is going to play these faggoty ass WarioWare games. I'll tell you that much right now.
And you lost it.
And people bring that up a lot. The Shmorky of today would have a fucking aneurysm if you said that within 2 feet of him.
But it's a joke. It's using.
It is a joke, but
I think the offense is the joke. The character is that asshole, that ignorant asshole. Like, that's the point.
Which, to give some context here, like Slow Beef and Diabetes have gone on record as saying they don't really like their early videos because they are just sort of needlessly mean. So that sort of gives you the idea where something awful in general is right now. Like, people point that out of like, if Shmorky of today heard himself saying that, he would freak the fuck out. He wouldn't be able to take it. Interesting.
He'd check himself into the mental hospital.
2010 to 2011 is about the time that Shmorky seems to go full on Troon. Clear exactly when. This is when it starts. He won't hit obnoxious levels until 2014, where it begins.
Okay.
He seems to talk more about it on social justice sites. On his official Twitter, he straight up mentions that he is no longer a boy nor a girl, and that you need to deal with it. I followed Shmorky on Twitter for a while, and I thought that was a joke. I didn't realize he was being serious.
And now you no longer follow Shmorky on Twitter?
I don't really use Twitter anymore. I mostly just use it to watch Matt retweet anime titties and to watch Mr. Medicare live tweet Shia LaBeouf freaking out.
So you use it like every other day.
Yeah, and I also use it to tweet shit at Suda51 in the hopes that he'll pay attention to me.
He did that one time.
Sometimes he does. He did, like twice he did. Topper manufacturer. But they were kind of retweeting to everyone who was talking about No More Heroes. So
Don't get me started on that either.
I'm really excited for No More Heroes.
Of course you
They're
are.
gonna. I kind of deep down, I got the really bad feeling they're gonna do an Anarchy Reigns, and it's going to be a
No,
completely
don't say that.
unrelated thing.
Shut the fuck up.
It's going to be an unrelated thing that just has Travis Touchdown in it.
Suda 51 would not bring it back for that. He is conducting a symphony in that plot. Like, that is all him, and you know it.
Yeah. I had no idea where that fucking story is going.
Who cares?
He does these. Yeah.
It's like it's the closest thing video games have to a David Lynch movie.
I was able to finally crack what makes it so bizarre. Which is that they treat killing like a sport, but like a real sport, not like the Hunger Games or Battle Royale in the way that like, oh, it's so awful. Like, no, Travis Touchdown is a wrestler who just kills the people he wrestles.
He's an assassin, and they're in a world where there's a league of assassins, and you got to rank up, dude.
Yeah, but
it's a fucking less socially conscious John Wick. Like, it's this ridiculous action, crazy ass world, but the difference, like, John Wick is like this professional, slick world of assassination and gold coins, and No More Heroes is a fucking anime nerd's wet dream.
Yeah, he literally buys his killing the weapon off eBay
and charges it by jerking off. It's beautiful. Yeah, no, that's where it gets. It's in the opening cutscene.
Oh man, I love No More Heroes.
I love No More Heroes too.
2012 is where Shmorky begins to communicate with Carefully, and I'm not completely sure on the timeline for this. This is one of the things we were talking about. Of like, we're not really sure the story holds up. Carefully has another user whose name I can't remember, who acts as an in-between users of Kiwi Farms, who I think is a regular user. Like, Carefully does not have an avatar. She doesn't have a post history, but the other user does. Like, they have a title and everything, which gives the impression that they just use the forums, and then they just realize that their roommate Shmorky for the past 6 years. And she will sort of dodge questions sometimes. And the roommate will kind of be like, well, it doesn't really matter. It's suspicious, to say the least. So eventually someone was like, looking at the chat logs, they're only dated for 2016. And she says that they started in 2014, 2012. And they sort of poke some holes in it of like, all the chat logs she gave us are from when she would be 18 in 2016. When she was 16, but she says the chat logs go back to 2014, so what's the fucking deal? She does provide...
Well, it sounds like, to just provide a counter to that argument, well, it sounds like she wanted the truth to come out, but I don't think she wants, like, Shmorky arrested or anything, which the internet would try to do if they got actual evidence of that.
It's a weird situation that eventually Null, the site admin, like, yes, she provided sufficient proof for me. Her story checks out. If ever became public, which gives the impression to me that she must have shown like her driver's license or something to prove her age is correct.
And if she
just didn't want to
has other chat logs that she didn't want to release, but that exist too, maybe.
Like, the way she put it was she's not very good with computers, so she wasn't quite sure how to get the oldest chat logs, and she was just pulling whatever she could pull. Also, at one point, Mandy started posting some of her old chat logs with Shmorky, and at one point, she just tries to fucking, like, copy and paste the directory in her file browser into Kiwi Farms. Like, that's gonna work.
Nice.
It's like C drive /Skype/chat log / whatever. And then someone's like, the fuck are you trying to do? Like, you have to put the images into Kiwi Farms. It's not gonna work.
Nice.
to 2013.
Okay, so 2013.
This is when
he's been talking to Mandy, right? Yet? Yeah.
Not yet.
Okay,
Yeah.
but he's
So
been
before that happened,
but he's been talking. For all intents and purposes for our story, he's been talking to Carefully.
Yes, he's been talking to Carefully. Presumably, he has been doing his weird sex role play with her. A minor at this point. She's about 14, I believe. I believe she says, I think about is they started talking in 2012, but he didn't start any of the sex shit until she was 16, and he didn't do anything until she was 18. Which, to be
What do you
fair,
mean do anything? They started
even
the
if he
chatting
did,
at 16, but then they actually. Are you saying they actually fucked?
no, it's the nature of the chats change every 2 years.
Oh,
so when they start, they're just talking like me and you talk through Hangout. When she's 16, then they're starting to do like weird role play shit, like you and me do in Hangout.
Wait,
And
what?
then when she's 18, then they start to actually pretend to have penetrative sex, like me and you do in Hangout. You know, it's the same thing.
Exactly like we do. But we didn't. Again,
Anyway.
Just like Shmorky, we didn't start doing that until you turned 18.
That's true. But even like a couple people on the thread pointed out, like even if he did do role playing, which whatever the fuck that is, before she was 18, in court, it's not illegal. Even in like the places with the strictest child sex laws, it just wouldn't fly because no actual child is done. It's completely fantasy. Even if it was penetrative, nothing legally actionable would have happened. But it sure is fucking weird. So when she finally drops those chat logs, it's DEFCON 3.
What was DEFCON 2?
I don't know. DEFCON 2 is probably... People have kind of known about Shmorky for a while. I completely forgot about Sandy Pants. Wow. I knew I was going to
Sandy Pants?
Pants is an alt account of Shmorky's that the Kiwi Farms users discovered that was active from 2006 to 2013.
So this is we're full on into what's this? God, who's the guy whose video we watched that ruined the end of that podcast because it didn't save?
Oh, Jerry Pete.
Yeah, we're full on Jerry Pete territory now.
We're getting close. Sandy Pants is a internet user who produces these little goofy comic strips. Little lamb girl named Sandy Pants. Whole story is a sheep, and her mom is a sheep, but her dad is a wolf. And because of that, she has fangs. So even though she's a cute little sheep, she's feisty. And it's the story of her and her 8 brothers and all the antics they get up to. And each of them has their own little personality. And every comic, they get into these goofy little things. Shmorky's most sellable idea. In that, reading the description for Sandy Pants, there was a part of me that was like, that's kind of a cool premise for a cartoon. Like, that's kind of a cute little story that I bet could have some depth to it.
But
it's all piss porn.
Oh my! It is what?
It's all just piss porn. That's every comic strip is one of them pisses themselves. That's every comic strip, every single one. There's this other bizarre subplot where Sandy Pants, who is 12, has a boyfriend who's 34.
Shmorky has some serious issues.
Is you just now getting that, David?
Yes.
Is this where it finally settled in?
It turned that corner that all of these episodes do turn.
I knew I was going to forget about Sandy Pants. I wish there was more about Sandy Pants, but by the time Sandy Pants became known to the Kiwi farms, it had never been very popular because it had always been this weird fetish thing. Something you have to know about Something Awful is that they fucking loathe furries. Like, they were really,
like we do.
really fucking hard. Like, way harder than we do.
Not like we do.
Um,
We're going to get to that episode eventually. I'm saying that research is still coming.
And so Shmorky, as like a high-ranking dude at Something Awful, he could not, under any circumstances, be found out to be a furry. Like, he just couldn't. It would literally destroy his life, because now his entire life is living at Something Awful. Sandy Pants is his alt account where he gets all that shit out there.
Wait,
it's a completely different art
is
style.
he a furry, or is he just using like is it because it's piss porn, so it sounds like there's not a lot, like it sounds like he's trying to express these weird fantasies through something safe, like kind of like how some of I just because of the image you sent me, like how some like the Courage the Cowardly Dog episodes were like really fucking weird and out there, and you could tell like it was the creators like are like, hey, we're gonna do this one thing and get away with it.
Oh yeah, like that episode where like it's clearly about lesbians, but it's a rabbit and a cat.
Well, I mean, that's just like the episode of Cow and Chicken where the carpet munching all female biker gang shows up and just like runs into the house and starts eating the carpet literally.
That's a great joke.
No, it's not a great show, but it has its moments.
No, I said it's a great joke.
Yes, no, that is a great joke.
There's also that terrifying episode where a cow has nightmares about a milkman and they fuck up her dream catcher, and he like out of Chicken and his friends for the whole episode, and it's genuinely terrifying, kind of like awful.
Anyway,
but I digress.
So, but yeah. You get what I'm saying, right? Like I think maybe it's trying to express something through this thing. I don't, or is he just a furry? Like he could also just be a furry. I'm asking.
It's very much like a tiered canon, David.
Okay.
There's fetishes, and they're like furry is at the bottom, and then it's like trans, and then it's like clerfs, and then it's like
now you're just saying nonsense.
And then it's like, no, clerfs is a real thing that he does. We didn't bring it up, but you might notice this if you ever look up. You might notice this if you ever look up Shmorky's art.
Oh. He
has these like bizarre kind of pseudo stick figures that look like Dr. Seuss characters almost.
Just tell me what a clerf is.
Smurf, basically. He really likes clerfs. So that in the chat logs with Carefully, when he's clearly describing a clerf.
You're still not clarifying exactly what a clerf is.
There's nothing to clarify. It's like a bizarre, like, you know what a Smurf looks like?
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine it's naked.
Oh, okay.
Now imagine they're all different colors. That's what a clerf is. That's it.
Okay.
It's just, there's nothing else to them. They're these bizarre, ugly stick figures that are easy to animate.
But is it like a thing, or is it like it was a thing already?
No, it's a thing. It's a thing for him.
Okay.
It's his original content that he's obsessed with for some reason. Describing himself and how he wants his perfect body to be, he's describing a clerf. And the clerfs aren't pretty. They're ugly. They've got like pot bellies and shit. So I don't know what his deal is.
Like Shmorky, that's what his deal is.
It's maybe the most bizarre part of the whole thing. Like, I can almost understand everything else. I don't understand the clerf thing. I just can't figure it out. 2013.
2013.
So it's 2013, and Lotax puts out a video called "Let's Play Cry of Fear." Cry of Fear. You might know what Cry of Fear is if you follow horror YouTubers. I think it's a mod for Half-Life 1.
Oh, then no.
It's kind of a garbage mod. It's like a full original game though.
Okay.
And he did a lengthy, like 25, 30 part Let's Play of it. I actually went back and watched it during the Shmorky drama, and I actually still thought it was pretty funny. And originally, it's just Lotax. 3 or 4 episodes in, Shmorky starts joining him because Shmorky's in the office doing shit. So in the background, he'll yell shit at Lotax to fuck with him.
So this is still fun, Shmorky?
Yeah, this is at the time where like Shmorky was becoming obnoxious, but he could still be funny.
Okay.
And even at the end of 2013, at the end of Gaming Garbage, so it's where Shmorky and Lotax just have a really good chemistry together. Dontrell the Dolphin. If you look up that video, after Cry of Fear, they started producing Gaming Garbage, which is just them going on to Game Jolt, which is an amateur game maker website.
I know what Game Jolt is, yes. That's pretty easy on Game Jolt.
Genuinely, like, I can't watch some of the videos all the way through because they make me physically sick.
Because the games are that bad?
Somehow. I don't understand it. It's like it hurts to watch sometimes.
I've seen a couple of like those short play videos with games like that. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the Dontrell the Dolphin video in particular, I really love. And half of the staff is a pedophile, and the other half is stuck in an Ambien haze. Lotax really likes Ambiens and boxed wine, by the way.
Wait, what? Say that again.
For some reason, apparently Lotax really likes Ambien and box wine.
Okay.
One of the things that Mandy would say, like even when she was back on her meds, she would keep talking shit about Lotax sometimes. He would constantly like roll off the couch at the Something Awful offices, super boxed wine and Ambien.
It's a peculiar drugs of choice, I guess.
There's a hefty chunk of the Shmorky thread on Something Awful Kiwi Farms, with just Mandy and Lotax going back and forth. It was pretty funny.
Like contradicting each other, or
just like having arguments in the thread, like actively fighting over like what actually happened. Yeah, it was stupid. They were actually kind of on the same page as Shmorky constantly. They were just arguing over whether or not Mandy was out of line or whether or not she'd apologized for text messages about the devil.
Oh, so it was more Lotax coming in saying, like, you did this fucked up thing, you need to apologize.
Yeah. There's a really good one where she tells him, the ice is thinning, and you and your people are going to fall through the cracks in the ice into the hands of Satan. And then just for like the entirety of the Shmorky drama, just users on Something Awful keep adding Lotax and yelling at him, "Richard, don't let us fall through the ice." And I thought that was pretty funny. When I think things are funny rather than just laughing at them.
That's pretty great.
Most people just laugh at things that are funny. I like to tell people audibly that I think it's funny.
You're like,
I feel like it's like writing a letter.
You're Zach Braff's one episode girlfriend that said everything instead of laughing, just said that's so funny. On Scrubs.
Yeah, sure.
Scrubs was a very popular show, Dylan.
I know it was.
It got a spinoff called Scrubs.
Was it a spinoff? I just thought it was they just pretended it was the next season.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a spinoff, and then they pretended it was they did a reboot for the final season. And what's his face? Dave Franco was on it.
Weird. Anyway, so if you knew who Shmorky was in the last few years, this is where Shmorky stopped being something that goons on something awful knew about and started becoming something that the greater Retsu Prey about. Because the videos were popular with those people, but not very popular with anyone else. Till Lotax really, really wanted gaming garbage to take off. He really saw it as his personal future. Having it. He just wasn't interested. He was pissy all the time. He would always come home and complain to Mandy about how Lotax was wasting his talents with his stupid video game videos. This other shit. Until come the end of 2013, come 2014 rather, Shmorky leaves something awful.
For anything, or he just leaves?
And he seems to go his own way. Job. He forces Mandy to take care of him, more or less, both financially and basically every other way, I guess. Quick side note, I don't have the exact date for this, but Mandy has noted a few times that the second time she ever met Shmorky, he pissed himself in front of her.
That's unpleasant.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you think there's no one out there for you, just know that Shmorky was able to almost get someone with that. He was able to get two someones because he's fucking with Carefully the whole time he's doing all that, too. Remember that.
Well,
I also want to point out
it doesn't count as getting someone if they're children.
It shouldn't count, but I feel like it still kind of does.
It doesn't. No, I'm putting my foot down. It doesn't count with children.
She was like 16 at this point, so I don't think she's a child. She was schizophrenic,
okay.
though.
Okay. I was gonna say you opened this episode, at least her talking about her, by saying how schizophrenic she was. So I feel like that counters your argument.
That's true. That might count it out. I also want to point out Mandy's not bad looking by any means. She's like a solid 6 or 7, depending on the day. Like, it's not even like Shmorky was lowering his standards or anything. He was getting someone who was pretty good looking, all things considered. The images of Mandy where she kind of looks like Jinx from League of Legends.
I don't know what that means.
And then there's others where she looks like my cousin, and those ones just kind of gross me out.
Because she looks like your cousin?
Yeah. The way about the nostalgia chick, too.
I don't know who that is.
The nostalgia chick? She's
I know who that is.
Yeah. Like, I remember they were like, people would always talk up how hot she was, and I was just like, I don't see it. I just see my cousin.
Are you harboring secret feelings?
No. I'm harboring the opposite of that. The real reason I don't like women with colored hair is that both my mom and my sister have dyed their hair weird colors. And I just automatically associate the image with them now.
Does that mean you associate it with the image of pure madness?
What was I talking about?
Shmorky.
Oh, it's 2014.
Yes, it's
2014. Mandy is basically supporting Shmorky for these 2 years, and the two kind of live in semi-obscurity. Lotax will, I believe, reboot Gaming Garbage at some point as a solo venture, and then eventually he just sort of streams it with his kids. Who are like 12, 11. When the whole Shmorky's a pedophile thing came out, Lotax's 12-year-old daughter had a lot of shit to say about it for some reason. Fucking savage too. Twitter, or she had like posted a picture of herself on Twitter covered in diapers and said, "Look who I am, I'm Shmorky."
Oh my God. A 12-year-old girl did that?
Yeah, like they'd be C-tier bands, but the fact that she's 12, you cut her some slack. Trump's not very funny, but he's the president. So the fact that he's willing to call people fucking assholes publicly is kind of funny. It's amplified.
No. Greg Miller and that ex-IGN crew is kind of funny, Dylan.
They're not kind of. No, they're not. Come on.
Literally, they are.
Sure they are. Sure to come back next week for that episode if it came from the internet, everybody.
I don't think there's an interesting story behind that.
There might be some. Who knows? Anyway, episode of his rebooted Gaming Garbage with Total Biscuit. That episode was really good. But I just don't like his solo stuff very much. He really needs someone to bounce off of. And Shmorky was the perfect person. Pedophile or no. It's a shame. He really lost his sidekick with that one. And Slow Beef doesn't seem to like him very much anymore. So I don't know if he'll be along for the ride. A lot of Mandy's stories seem to take place in the 2014 to 2015 timeframe. It's pretty unclear. It's a little unclear exactly when shit happens for her. She doesn't give hard dates. And I was under the impression they'd been together for a long fucking time. From the way she talks about them, I was under the impression they'd been together since like 2008. Been together since 2013. And I was like, that's crazy. Shit that happened between them.
Okay, well then let's get into that shit.
All right. I just have a ton of shit written here. Let me see what I got here.
Because are we getting close? Because we're at the point where we either are wrapping up the story or we need to do two parts.
We're pretty close.
Okay.
We're pretty close. Let me check here. He begins to fall deeper into his echo chamber, which causes a rift between him and Lotax. As gaming garbage, it's a waste of his talents. I already said that.
Oh, hey, side note. So, I want to just, I know everyone understands, but I had to explain to one of my coworkers what the echo chamber was the other day. Because he blew up about stupid Facebook memes. And I was like, okay, and it was with political stuff. And I'm like, it's all just into the echo chamber anyway. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I said, because, social media algorithms nowadays only show you the things you actually like. So it's just you and a bunch of people who agree with you in an echo chamber.
Every once in a while, I'll work the same shift as another dude, and I'll say something stupid about the internet, and I'll have to spend 10 minutes explaining it to him.
Yeah. That was one of the things where I'm like, well, the phrase is called an echo chamber. I feel like
you can
kind of just put that together.
There we go. Shmorky would routinely draw Clurf smut for his fiancée, and at one time she found a notebook full of baby Clurf diaper porn in his bedroom.
So he's full on crazy pants now, is what you're telling me.
Yeah. For the record, Mandy and Shmorky did not sleep together. They slept in separate rooms because Shmorky would not allow her to touch him or be in the same room with him nude because it triggered his rape PTSD that he doesn't have.
Okay, no, he doesn't have, unless there's oh, Jesus Christ. As I was saying, unless there's a different rape that we don't know about, he does not have rape PTSD. And does that mean Shmorky sleeps naked? Is that confirmation?
Not necessarily. He's just he wouldn't let her see him anywhere else, and he wouldn't let her touch him. Apparently, they only had sex a few times. And I guess
they had sex without touching. Super easy. What's wrong with you?
They apparently he was like really, really denigrating to her whenever they had sex.
Ew.
Yeah,
Gross.
that's not. Apparently, he never once dropped the Mickey Mouse voice either. He also
Ew.
claims he also claims that the Mickey Mouse voice is his real voice, and that his doctor told him that he had to stop using his actual real voice. He had to use his real voice, which is the cartoon voice, or he'd lose his vocal cords. He has gone as far as to say in the gaming garbage videos and the early ones when his voice is normal, back and altered his voice in those videos more normal.
Wait, what? Like he
That's
went
what
back to
he.
old
That's what.
videos and re-recorded lines?
Or like before he put them up, he edited the Shmorky's audio tracks to sound more normal.
I don't believe that.
It's not. Of course, you don't believe it because it's not true. It's clearly not true. It's clearly an aforemention. It's an affliction he has forced on himself.
That's a
If you
thing.
if you threw something at Shmorky, he would like yell in a lower registry because he wouldn't be consciously doing it. His real voice is not the cartoon voice.
Can we prove this by throwing stuff at Shmorky?
Yeah, feel free.
I
A
need your
lot of
help.
channels out there will, in like the description or something, they'll say like, please don't go bully the person in this video. You can go ahead. I don't give a shit. I do not care. If you can find Shmorky and you feel compelled to throw something at him, don't let me stop you. I'm not your conscience.
I feel like I agree with your stance, but it feels like a bad idea to agree with your stance.
It is a bad idea because it's society tells us that we're not supposed to feel this way. It's how I feel. I'm sorry. I just don't care.
It's not.
I'm
Yeah,
not
no,
gonna. I'm not
it's.
gonna throw anything at Shmorky because I think that'd be a dick move. Job to tell. I'm not the fucking culture police. It's not my job to tell you not to do it.
I don't.
Move. Don't do it.
I don't feel. I'm definitely not one of those people that if you want to get into something current, that or we're like, no, we can't be happy at that video where that dude punches the Nazi in the face, like we shouldn't be punching anyone in the face. So I'm like, I mean, I might punch a Nazi in the face. I'm not going to discourage you from punching a Nazi in the face if you want to punch one in the face. They kind of deserve it.
I feel like in that situation specifically, it's like punching a political opponent is not going to prove them wrong.
No, but I don't see.
It was pretty funny.
In that context, I don't think that statement was like, this person's wrong, I'm going to prove them wrong by punching them in the face. I saw it more as, this guy's a fucking asshole who should be punched in the face, and someone punched him in the face.
Like, the problem is, it was one of those.
I don't want to politicize
who did it though.
I know.
So it was like it was yeah. Did you see that image of like someone actually looked at that and they saw that like that dude had a wrench in his hand when he hit him?
Oh my god, really?
He had like a wrench duct taped to his arm and he hits him with his arm and there's like a frame where you can clearly see the head of the wrench coming out of his sleeve.
Wow.
How fucking weak do you have to be to hit someone in the head with a wrench and you can't even knock them over?
Pretty weak.
Like, come on.
I refuse to live in a society where it's not okay to punch Nazis.
To be fair, Richard Spencer is not a Nazi. He's just a white supremacist.
He's a neo-Nazi.
Apparently, the neo-Nazis don't like him very much.
Okay, whatever.
Dude, you don't gotta punch. I've watched like 4 or 5 documentaries about the KKK. You don't have to hit them. They just live awful, shitty lives. Like they're already living the worst life possible. D&D nerds, but they don't have any fun.
They're the worst kind of nerds.
Yo, but for real, if you want to have a good time, look up the calendar of the Ku Klux Klan.
Is it a documentary?
No, the calendar. Like the
Oh,
Ku
like
Klux
the
Klan have
official
their own
calendar?
actual. Yeah, because like all the months are like the most emo bullshit in the world.
I just want you to realize that you started that. If you're looking for a good time, look up the Ku Klux, like trashy old hooker advertisements. But instead, you ended that sentence with "look up the Ku Klux Klan calendar."
Yo, me and my friend laughed for at least 2 straight hours reading about the Ku Klux Klan right one night. I'm not gonna take it back.
I would
Fuck.
totally do that at work if I didn't have a bunch of shit to actually do at my job. Like that sounds like the thing I want to get together with my coworkers and laugh at.
Funny.
And
They're
and
the
then,
dumbest goddamn thing in the world.
yeah,
Really funny to see people be like, you can't reelect Obama. If you reelect Obama, there will be a race war in this country. There wasn't, and now that Trump's in office, there probably will be.
race war,
Good job, Ku Klux Klan.
race war.
There's a fucking group of the Ku Klux Klan. No shit. In 2016, they're called the goddamn White Knights. They have to. You have to fucking know. Like, come on.
They don't. That's the best part, Dylan, is they don't.
They're so fucking stupid.
They lead the worst lives ever. Of course they don't know.
That being said, I do
Be...
agree.
Go ahead.
I do disagree with the notion that Richard Spencer should have been hit in the face with a wrench.
I disagree that he should have been hit in the face with the wrench as well. I believe he should have been punched in the face, but with the normal man fist.
I don't even think. I don't. I feel like he should have been punched for something unrelated. Like if you're an asshole, you're an asshole. But I feel like it becomes if he's giving a political speech and you hit him, it's a political act. But if you just hit him in the street because he looks weird, it's just an act of random violence.
I think he should just be punched for being a horrible person, not to interrupt him from speaking or anything. I just think it's some people just deserve to be punched every so often.
I guess it's aggravating because you can directly tie Berkeley riot to that Richard Spencer event.
What do you mean?
You see, Berkeley riot that was happening was done by the Antifa. Obvious, like that wouldn't happen in a world where every fucking news outlet wasn't like applauding the Richard Spencer.
Okay, I see your point. Can we go back to Shmorky?
Yeah, well, I'll edit this out of the proper episode.
No, you won't.
But I point of like me and you as degenerates can feel this way. The news can't. The news has like a moral responsibility.
Yes, you're right. You're right. I agree. See that, but that's the thing is I'm expressing my opinion, not the news's opinion. That's a whole different story.
Yeah, we spend
You're
our
right.
time reading about trannies on the internet. We're in a different class. Anyways, we're at the end of this anyway. Shmorky uses the women's changing room and gets pissy when people give him looks. That's pretty funny.
What was that?
Shmorky seems to have developed a meth habit.
Wait, what?
With Mandy later revealing when he moved them to Washington, he specifically moved them to a part of the country with a big meth problem. She would mention how like Shmorky was hanging out with a shit ton of meth heads and shit when she wasn't around. At that time where she was like heavily sedated at a hospital for 2 days straight, apparently he spent with a bunch of meth heads. So that's fun.
You're making me feel uncomfortable again.
So nothing really happens until early 2016, and then February rolls around and the recording goes out. That was making the rounds. The recording. I'm almost positive. I must have sent you this.
I didn't listen to it if you did.
The recording is a 9-minute audio recording of Mandy verbally abusing Shmorky up on his Tumblr. Because where else would he put it? It's great. and it's
Why
her
is it
yelling
good?
at the top of her lungs. This is where at one point, and when I say this line, you're gonna recognize it because I know we've repeated this back and forth. She says, "Not even Hitler himself could save me because there's no answer to the Jewish question."
Yeah. You're right. We have repeated that back and forth like this past year.
It's such a great fucking line from.
Is Shmorky Jewish? Is that because that's what I'm getting from that quote? Because if it's Mandy ranting at him.
No, it's just because she's full schizophrenic at this point.
Oh.
Old school schizophrenic. Shmorky posted. Okay, I got that part. During the Mandy notes that she thinks Shmorky is controlling her for her parents. She also constantly alludes to Shmorky wanting to rape her, which he never gives into. And later on, she'll reveal that she was very, very frustrated sexually with Shmorky because he wasn't a very accommodating lover. And that he wasn't a lover.
Shit. He's a fucking weirdo.
Yeah, he didn't want anything to do with her 9 times out of 10. The only times he did want shit to do with her fetish role play, he really doesn't seem to get any satisfaction out of anything except for the diaper stuff. He almost seems asexual. Like, it's bizarre. Fetish goes to, because most people who have fetishes can still have normal sex, right?
Yeah.
It's usually like it's like liking a particular genre of movie more. Like, yeah, I like westerns a lot, but I'll watch, a romantic comedy if it's on TV if I have to. It's usually not this in identity like it is with Shmorky. It is pedophilia, actually, now that I think about it. You ever notice that's the way pedophiles treat it? Literally something they can't control, and to make them control it is inhumane.
That's not how this works.
But that's how pedophiles try to portray it.
They're pedophiles.
Yeah, but that's the point I'm trying to get at. Is Shmorky may, if there's any truth to that, feel about their sexuality, and Shmorky is a pedophile, maybe that's why the diaper shit is so important to him. Up in that somehow.
So you're saying Shmorky's 2 steps away from becoming a full-on men's rights activist?
Are NAMBLA considered men's rights activists?
I think they're hiding amongst them.
Probably. I feel bad for the men's rights activists because I feel like there's a lot of problems centric to being a man in a Western culture that we just don't talk about.
Well, yeah, I saw a great stupid Facebook post that was like men's issues, and then like these are men's issues, and like a list of like real issues, and then like these are not men's issues, and it's like being in the friend zone, not being able to date someone, and like being mad about that.
Yeah, the shit like the draft and the super high conviction rate of men and the very high suicide rate of men and the unreported rape statistics of men that probably need an organization to help with. Just not going to get it. Just not going to get it because the men's rights activists are fucking around with shit. And it's the same problem of there's probably a lot of problems women have in America today. Not going to get fixed because someone turned the air conditioning on and that's sexist. So it's a shitty country.
I like to be cold, Dylan.
Yeah, but it's sexist. See,
why is it sexist? I like being cold. It has nothing to do with sex. It does not sexually arouse me to be cold.
That's a real thing, by the way. Have you seen that video of the lady who talks about why air conditioning is sexist?
No. She's clearly not from a place where it gets hot.
I'll send you the video. It's pretty bad. Anyway, So the
Fuck her.
recording in particular was making the rounds, and it was really where Shmorky's victim status hit its peak. It made the rounds on Twitter, it made the rounds on 4chan, on Cow. It was very popular, very funny. I feel like it kind of goes on too long.
Well, he's a fucking weirdo who's obsessed with himself, so of course it goes on too long.
Culminates in Low-Tax calling the cops to Shmorky's house, and Shmorky tells him everything's fine, but apparently he's like he's like mouthing the words "help me" at the cops. End up taking Mandy into custody.
Jesus.
Over the next month or so, Mandy will continue to have problems with the local police department. She cuts up her arms, and then she sends the picture to the police department's Facebook page and threatens to sue them for $900 million.
Okay.
Which is ironic, because that sounds like a pretty Jewish thing to do. Ranting about the Jewish question.
Okay, that's you're just being anti-Semitic now. Come on, move along.
That's a pretty good joke.
It's not a solution. Okay, so she's taken into custody.
She's taken into custody. She eventually is let go. Later on, she gets in another altercation with the police, and Low-Tax has to drive, to come bail her out. I think this is before she and Shmorky move to Washington. No, okay, I'm wrong. This is afterwards. Low-Tax later reveals that they had a problem in Louisiana, and he had to go bail them out. Time to sort of say, this is not a new thing. This is a problem they've had for a while. One of the more notable things she does is she leaves a giant Facebook post. She has spent her life trying to better understand death, and she basically calls out everyone on her Facebook feed to try and kill her.
Okay.
But she says it like one of you, if one of you faggots is going to do it, you better come fucking do it, because I'm ready right now. Let's go.
Weird.
Not like if you guys try to kill me, I have God on my side, or anything like that. Or oh, I know there are people out there who want me dead. No, if you motherfuckers want to fight, we can fight. We can scrap. Let's go. And that's basically 2016. January, carefully drops the chat logs, and it's open season on Shmorky. Back, she starts talking in the thread. Low-Tax is talking in the thread. They put everything out there. They reveal all this shit about Shmorky, and it starts to become clear that the recording of Shmorky and Mandy is manufactured. In the middle of the fight, yeah, it's a real fight they had.
But remember, the recording's fake.
The recordings of the fight, but you have to remember, Mandy's crazy. She's literally insane. She's offered drugs. She has no self-control. And the recording is very distant. He's very calculating. The recording in the middle of the fight, and it just sort of stops in the middle of the fight. Probably because he probably was saying shit that was going to reflect poorly on him. The recording. And he probably said some shit that would have been bad for him if it got out there. So he's intentionally manipulating the recording to make it seem like he's a bigger victim than he is.
Okay.
For the entirety of their relationship, he was verbally abusive. He was emotionally abusive. Off her financially and all this other shit. He had independence whatsoever. He didn't have a car. She had to drive him around everywhere. He didn't have a job where he made $500 a month, which isn't enough to live on, and he just sort of impulsively spent it on Nintendo cartridges for some reason.
Because that's what you do.
Yeah.
That's just what you do.
That's just what you do. And with carefully added to the mix, it becomes very clear Shmorky is a serial abuser. He seeks out women with mental problems because he knows he can manipulate them into partaking in his bizarre sexual fantasies. And he does this for years. And he was basically two-timing Mandy the whole time.
With
Carefully, who for most of it was technically still a child.
Jesus Christ.
This all comes out over the course of about a month. A handful of times. Shmorky's fucking echo chamber does not let up. But his animator friends sure do. C. Green kind of distances himself from Shmorky. A lot of animators who were like publicly abandoned him because they realize it's career suicide. He still gets posts all the fucking time about people. He still got them. I don't know if he still gets them anymore. And it's just people being like, "Oh, you're a beautiful person, and I love you so much." This stupid shit that people on Tumblr do to each other because they're shitty people who don't have real emotional connections in life, so they have to find it on the internet because their real family doesn't love them. You know. Like I don't need like my brothers and my mom and shit to tell me all the time that they love me, because I just know. I know they love me because they spend time around me. I know they love me because there's days we don't talk.
You know
We're
they
just
love
around
you.
each other.
You know they love you because you're around each other and you don't necessarily like each other all the time.
We're just there's entire days I've not spoken to anyone in my family. I've just been around them the entire time. We're just in the room and we're doing separate things, but we could just be around each other. Like if you don't love someone, you can't be around them unless you're actively engaged with them. It's weird.
I agree wholeheartedly.
For a minute there, it kind of sounded like I don't need my family to love me. I'm fine on my own.
Family.
My family loves me. I swear to God, they just don't gotta say it. I swear. The story of Shmorky basically.
Where we're at now is the recordings came out. All these people who were on Shmorky's side are no longer on Shmorky's side because it came out that he's a freaking monster.
There's a fair amount who are still on his side, but the big names aren't anymore. Shmorky's tale comes when he gets checked into a local hospital, presumably for a suicide attempt. But I don't believe that was confirmed. On his Facebook feed, he writes, "Goodbye forever, for real this time." Oh, Shmorky, please don't, because I think these people knew he had mental problems.
Right.
What we were waiting for was when Shmorky comes out of the hospital, because he was in the hospital for the entirety of the Carefully logs, waiting for this to blow over, basically. When he came out of the hospital, one of two things were going to happen. He's going to spurg out harder than he's ever spurged out before. And it was going to be at least another month before our episode came out. Two, he was going to come out and he was just not going to do anything. Too much of an egotist to abandon the internet entirely, especially now that he has no... He moved back in with his family, by the way, in case you were wondering.
Okay.
Because after Mandy left him, so he went back home. And we were waiting. And,
so that's
it. And then something happens.
Oh. So that's not it.
Not something with Shmorky. Something happens with Null, the admin of Kiwi Farms. Null
pulls off his mask and
apparently
Shmorky the whole time.
Oh, dude, wouldn't that be great? No, it's way stupider. This happened on the day Trump got inaugurated. Because I remember it because that was the moment that I decided that Trump's America wasn't fun anymore. Up to that point, it was all fun and games, David. It was all memes.
It was all fun and games, and then reality sunk in, and you're like, oh fuck.
It was all Pepe, and it was all Bane, and then Kiwi Farms shut down. It was too real. Exactly at midnight, Kiwi Farms closes down, and the website has a webpage that simply says a line crossed. Someone in Null's family had been attacked by a pose of Kiwi Farms, and he decided that it was too much. He was shutting down Kiwi Farms, and it was over.
So Kiwi.
Goodbye. Goodbye to the lolcow wiki that was attached to Kiwi Farms. Goodbye to the threads of Kiwi Farms. And goodbye to the only reliable way to get information on Shmorky that's not something awful. It's a huge fucking hug box right now, and I'm not going to pay $10 to read about Shmorky. I'm just not going to do it. I'm sorry, all right? I'll do a lot of stupid shit for this podcast. I'm not going to go that far.
No, why would you?
So that's it. As far as I know, Shmorky is still in the hospital. And like Schrodinger's cat, he will simultaneously be alive and dead. Inevitably comes back, and someone reports on him.
Okay, so it's like Chris Chan. We're just a holding pattern until something else interesting happens.
None of these episodes actually end. They just sort of hit a lull.
Like, no, they will end. These stories will end when the people fucking die. But until that happens, like, there's always.
I'd feel is so close to shutting down his channel. I'm going to say it right now. Going to be the month that Darkside Phil quits.
What, July?
I'm going to say July because he's been bitching constantly about his income. He did a big video last month about how he was in dire straits. This month, because of Neo is a Dark Souls game.
Yeah.
Dudes are popular for everyone, especially him because he's a retard. He's going to make money in March because that's when the Switch comes out. So that's easy money. Auto comes out, and he's really bad at those games too. So that's easy money. Make money in April. But he's going to make money in May because Injustice 2 comes out, and he's really shit at fighting games. And he produces like 800 fighting game videos a day. It's weird. He's going to sink super fucking low. He's going to have sunk so far he can't afford it anymore. He's not going to quit completely. He's going to hit it to where he's like, well, we're only. He's like, oh well, I'm going to do one playthrough a month. Game of the heart per month that comes out. Job part time, and he'll try really hard to get back into YouTube, but he's not going to do it. So I think July is going to be the month. Deadpool for Darkside Phil's channel.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see, and then circle back to that. So yes, so that's been our episode on Shmorky. Dylan, didn't you say you're almost ready for another one?
I'm very close. The next dude we're doing is super obscure, but apparently there's been like this bizarre cult around him for a long time. We might, we depending on work schedules and shit, we might be ready by like next week.
Soon. Yeah,
it's the thing of like I say that, but like knowing him, he's gonna like fuck a dog or something, and then we're gonna have to wait 3 months to see the fallout of that. That's how these always go.
And I'm still working on the Final Fantasy VII house, but it's not a fun topic to research, and I'm busy. So, but it's coming. It's gonna come. It has to come. That was.
Please don't say those words right now. I don't want to imagine that while I'm still thinking of Shmorky.
So yeah.
Apparently he doesn't, if Mandy's anything to go by.
Okay, we can stop talking about the sexual proclivities of Shmorky and end this podcast. So
No,
bye everyone.
we can't, Dave.
Yes,
It's
we
never
can.
truly over.
I'm hitting the button now.